called it.
That's right, that's the one, yeah. That one.
Well, welcome to the Isthmian show, the Reposs Isthmian show. Of course, we're here for the next couple of hours, and of course, as usual, sitting to my left, maybe to your right on screen, of course, is Keith. So welcome, Keith.
Right, Dave?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice quiet day, wasn't it today?
And yesterday, mate.
Yeah, really quiet, really quiet.
Right,
yeah, it's going to be. Looks like it's going to be fun. And then also, of course, to my far left, maybe to your far right, of course, he's Hussein from HARLOW. So welcome, Hussein. And to my right, of course, everybody knows the living legend to my right, Aki from Haringey Borough, to my right. I suppose one of the things that we'll go through as well, we'll go through the scores like we always do, of course, but I suppose one of the things that we'll end up talking about at some stage is the very, well, I suppose the tweet or Facebook post that was you put out yourself, and the responses we got to it, and we'll go into that, of course, as well in more depth a little bit later. But first of all, we'll do what we normally do. We'll quickly go through these because we've got a packed show tonight. As I said, we want to talk about the Facebook and Twitter, and also Haringey and HARLOW. So we'll go into the Bostik League Prem first. Burgess Hill Town 0, Bishop Stortford 325 in that game.
I tell you, Dave, the two gentlemen, I think are better off going through these results because, as I normally say, if I think they're shots and that, they're both playing the same in that league, and so they can give their opinions on these results.
Well, I think from Stortford's point of view, it's probably a miracle they won the game since their manager was given the manager of the month. They had such a fantastic November, and then obviously Jamie Curitan was given the manager of the month, and I hope we're not going the same way since Tom got it in December. But yeah, it seems as though Stortford are back on track. I personally can't understand how Burgess Hill are down there because they absolutely walloped us when we played them earlier in the season. But it seems to be that they can't do it consistently enough. But I don't know why, and I'll probably find out on Saturday because we've got them this Saturday.
Let's go. There's a Crimson Casuals 1, Bognor Regis Town 3, 434 at Crimson Casuals. Is that a surprise?
Was there anything there in the result?
I think there's no surprise this year in this league. Anyone can beat anyone this year. 1 minute you're in bottom of the league, next minute you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Bognor are a very strong side. I've seen quite a bit of them in the early part of the season. They started off very well, and we played them first game of the season actually. I think they came down last season. They had a bit of a wobble for a few games in the middle, but they seem to be back on track now. And I think they are where they're standing fifth in the division. So, you know, they're a real threat. They seem to have got their act back together.
Folkestone Victor 2, Kingstonian 0, 524 down at Folkestone.
They're on a good march, isn't they? Yeah. Folkestone Coates has got them going again, and you know, Draycott scored it. You know, they get goals, and Kingstonian, who got themselves right into a great position, and you know they're still in a decent position, but they've just come unstuck against a couple of the sides around them. And we said this a little while ago, Dave. I fancy them getting in there. They've been there or thereabouts, and we said they had a bit of a slow start to the season, folks, but they've really picked themselves up.
Yeah, I think that was 11 straight wins at home in the league, which is incredible.
Yeah, 11 straight wins, yeah.
And we played them about a month ago, and the only thing that stopped them scoring was a little bit lacklustre up front. They gave us a very good game. We won 1-0, but it could have easily gone the other way. They had a lot of the ball, didn't quite have the threat up front. But since then, they've gone on a march and won a lot of games. And, you know, Kingstonian, again, they, as you say, got themselves into a very good position. And, you you know, the wheels seem to have fallen off slightly, but they are nevertheless a very strong side. Everyone knows they're a strong side, and they're going to be right up there.
And it's one of those ones where I think we said on the other show as well that people have said to me, like, you know, you go to folks in Victory, it's either going to be a close game or you're going to get absolutely thumped. It seems to be that sort of ground to go to.
Their fans are really good and they get behind them. Now, I've been at Folkestone many a time. It's a big pitch as well. They play it well. You know, I know Aki was saying about not scoring, but obviously they got that hoist back. And I don't know if he's been out for a period of time, but he's been scoring the last few weeks from them again. And he had a fantastic season last year before he went again and he's come back. So, you know, it is a tough place to go, and if they're keeping clean sheets, then I think they're going to be, you know, right amongst it.
Well, Jason Collins has come and said, "Evening, gents. It's actually my new Facebook mate, Keith McMahon."
Hi, Jason.
Harlow Town 2, Lewis 1, and he seems to be that thing at the minute with Harlow, isn't it? Knocking over the teams that the top side.
I think we played.
Sorry, Aki, I do apologise.
No, that's all right. I'll have my say in a minute. I'll have my say in a minute.
I did say when we play against HARINGEY to the manager, we're going to win this, but I hope you win the league this year and you go up this year. I did say to him, but I think we've played really, really well.
Tell us about the game.
Against
Lewis.
Yeah.
We started well. They're saying that they created quite a lot of chances, but I don't think they created quite. We missed we scored from the penalty, and after we scored again, 3 minutes later, Ray scored as well. 3 or 4 minutes later. Second half, we created another 5-6 good chances, but our goalkeeper, which is I do rate him, Josh Bexon, he pulled some good saves, really, really good saves. But even against Dorking, week before, we was unlucky that game. It was 3-2 up, 79 minutes, and we lost 5-3. But I think we played really, really well. I think we got by and Spencer were really, really working hard to get the team together, and we see what happens.
I like Danny and Spencer a lot. I've known them a while, but just tell us, you know, why is it you're performing against the top sides and you're not getting results against the others? You know, we speak a lot about Harlow, and obviously some of the fans come on. It's nice that we've come in because, you know, me and Dave done the show from Harlow. They work hard, but you know, is it a mentality thing that they're up for the big games and not for the others?
I think we're performing well quite all the time now. At the beginning of the season, if you look at the beginning of the season, I think we only had 3 or 4 players that we got now. Of course, it takes time to get the team together and gel together. Players come in and go out. I think we're performing well every game now. For me, we are performing really well. At one stage, we had 8 points.
Yeah, no.
It didn't look like, but as I said, we work hard in training. Everybody works well. Everybody respects each other. And Danny is, I think for me, not because I work for him, but he's the most professional coach I ever worked with. He does everything professionally, from training to meeting. He does everything so professionally for me. And he's a proper manager.
When you played us 2 weeks ago, you definitely had a game plan and you executed it really well. And as our manager said to you at the end of the game, that you deserved that win. You played. You know, there was no hard feelings there. It wasn't a question of we played badly or anything of that nature. You played really well that day, and then obviously you followed it up with the Dorking game straight afterwards and with Lewis. So, you know, to beat 2 of the top 3 teams, and I like that because it means you've got to play the rest of them as well up the top there. So that helps us that you're you know, back to strength and obviously fighting to move up the table.
Well, David Groves just said, "Say hello to Aki from all his Enfield Town mates." Liam Curry said,
"Hi guys."
No, Tom, bit concerned. I know Aki gave him 2 games to turn it around on Saturday.
That's one more than he told us a minute ago.
Well, he's normally safe for a week, so.
Jake's come in and said, because the bigger teams don't prepare and think they'll walk all over us, it's the hashtag West Ham.
Sometimes that is the case. I won't lie. I think that does happen. I think we've been guilty. Every club's guilty of it sometimes.
I think
it's difficult to say why, but
yeah, I think it's subconscious. I mean, nobody takes these teams lightly because we've seen from the results this season that anybody, as Hussein said at the start, anybody can beat anybody. We certainly didn't go to Harlow thinking that was a foregone conclusion. In fact, we'd had a meeting a couple of weeks earlier and said that now, at the time we're top of the table, everybody's going to raise their game to knock us off that perch. And so it definitely wasn't a case of us thinking we were too good when we played Harlow. They had a plan. I think they scored from a set piece right at the start, the first minute, which put us on the back foot, and it took us a while to get into the game. And then you have your half-time team talk where obviously the manager would have said something about addressing any problems that we had in the first half, and they scored 37 seconds into the second half. So those plans go out the window. And, you know, we made a good fist of it. We pulled it back to 2-1. And your goalkeeper pulled off a couple of unbelievable saves. So you just hold your hands up and say they were better on the day. They prepared better. They deserved it. But I don't think it was anything to do with us thinking we were too good for them.
So we're not laughing at what you say, we're just laughing at what some of the messages coming in already. Jason Collin has come in again and said, Richard Hart, are you watching? As we should be on about officials soon at this level. A 6-hour show, apparently.
just quickly, you know, we're talking about, you played, you know, the top 3 sides in the last 3 weeks. Has your training been different when you've played against the top 3 side? More of, you know, have you done any more sort of different pattern of play? You said they had a game plan against you. Do you think sometimes, and I can only say this as a manager, and it's weird because we paid a bit more attention when we've played the top sides, like the way they play, certain things to try not restrict them, but you know, if let's be honest, they're the top sides because they're better than you normally. You know, it's not. So to try and have you noticed a difference there, or have you just been the same no matter what?
I think we basically, I'm a goalkeeping coach, so I work with my goalkeeper most of the time. But I think we've been the same. Of course, the governor knows what he's doing. They have a meeting inside. That's how we're going to approach the game. But most of our trainings for me is, if we do anything wrong, we can't do anything wrong. It has to be like 100%, everything 100% we've done it. Everything we do professionally 100%. Say we're playing HARINGEY next week, we go to the game. We don't think because HARINGEY is topside. We just look at ourselves, how we're going to play. I don't think we have changed anything. No. We just
Okay.
That's just one thing before I forget about to say a massive congratulations, good friend of mine, to Tim Saul and his appointment this week as the CEO of Harlow Town. Well deserved from a man that works his backside off, I know, for the football club. So congratulations to Tim.
Well, it's congratulations if he wanted the job.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he would have done. Yeah. Margate 1, Leatherhead 1 in front of 520, 80th minute equaliser there for Margate. Mersham 3, AFC Hornchurch 0, 196 there. Concerned for Hornchurch?
Very. I am concerned, and as I know, you know, Stimo's in there. They've just released a couple of players again in the week. I know Lee Prescott's gone, who I've rated humongous. You know, he's not playing for them and they're struggling in the Prem. God knows what's going on. I spoke to him a bit out of ballpark, if I'm honest with you, but one of the best holding solid midfielders in that league all day long. Played Conference South. So
too many changes, do you think?
Well,
too quickly?
You can't say that because obviously the manager's got to be comfortable with the players around him, and obviously Mark's had the players around him over the years that he can trust and feel comfortable with. So when you go into a new club, it's difficult. You know, it's a catch-22 in them in trouble. Do you bring the players in that you know and trust, or do you stay with what you've got? But at the moment, they've just got to get something to start getting some point somewhere. They need to build a platform. We've said this. You know, they're a decent club, but just seem to be in freefall. But as both gents said, that can change very rapidly.
I don't think you need to read too much into that particular result because Merstham over the last couple of months have been absolutely flying. So it isn't a shock that they scored 3 goals.
No.
I certainly expected Hornchurch to be doing much better than they are, and I think that Mark can turn things around for them. They've still got the firepower up front, so they should be scoring goals, but they're not at the moment.
We've said this: they played 27 games and only won 5.
And drawn 12, you know. And if you add that sort of 24 points on, if you turn them into wins, all of a sudden they're right up there. They're in the playoffs.
But then if you think about what we said, the first maybe 8-10 games of the season, they're in the top 4 or 5. So they've lost a hell of a lot of points over it. And obviously, you know, with Jim going and that, it takes time. But that is the concern when you're in that. And you're right, you know, they've still got George Vassell and all that up front. They have got firepower, but
they're pre-season's favourites as well for the league, according to one of the betting sites.
Yeah, but so were we when we went up. We got relegated. So that makes nothing.
I'm happy with that. We were tipped to go down, so shows you what they know.
Potters Bar Town 0, Dorking Wanderers 2, 87. Another team that was up there at the start of the season and dropped away as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a real shock to me. I can't understand how Dorking Wanderers can win 2 games in a row like they have done recently. I fully expected Potters Bar to beat them 5-0. Oh, sorry, I was dreaming. I expected Potters Bar. No, Dorking are top side, aren't they?
Yeah,
Top side, and there's no wonder. I mean, Potters Bar on a bit of a poor run at the moment, to be perfectly honest. We played them a few weeks ago. Again, lack of firepower, really. Decent on the ball, decent at the back, decent in midfield, but didn't really cause as much of a threat. Dorking are undoubtedly the best side we've played this season. No disrespect to the other sides that we're covering today. How we beat them 3-2 at home before Christmas, I'll never know. They were 2-0 up, playing us off the park, and I think we scored 3 goals, 2 from 2 set pieces, and then a 25-yard rocket from Kobe Rowe gave us the points that day, and I'm sure they feel aggrieved at getting beaten by us, but they are a top side, there's no doubt. I know they're top of the league as well, so I'm not saying anything clever here, but they are a very good side, a very strong side.
Tonbridge Angels 1, Haringey Borough 0, 90th minute winner.
Well, maybe Liam wants to come back on that one. It was just one of those games. It was a very, very even game. Lovely people. First time I've been down there, they treated us so well. We took a big fan following as well. They sang their hearts out throughout the whole game. We just couldn't create anything. We had a lot of the ball, but just didn't. The final third just wasn't there. And to be fair, our goalkeeper did pull off 2 or 3 good saves to keep us in the hunt. But the only thing that really pleases me, and the coaching staff and the management staff, I know you mentioned a minute ago that Hornchurch have drawn 11 games or 12 games. We have got a policy at our club that we are not interested in draws, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I'd rather lose going for the win, and it happened to us on Saturday. But more often than not, you're going to nick a goal. The last 10 minutes, we really pushed for a winner on Saturday, and we got caught. And we lost the game. So I'm not worried about that, because at the end of the day, you know, if you look at Hornchurch, 12 draws, it's only 4 wins. You could lose 8 games and win 4 and have the same number of points. So to me, our ethos, our manager's policy is we go all out for the win. That may not be the case if we need a draw against Dorking last game of the season, but generally speaking, that's our attitude. We'll try and win a game, and if we get caught, rarely you'll get caught. But you know, the prize on offer is more. The extra 2 points is worth going for.
What a humdinger last game of the season! Wow.
Actually, like I said, I was talking before. You know, Steve's a friend of mine. I like him, and I've known Tunbridge for years. And I said that the lad that got the winner, I gave his debut of senior football to at the age of 16 at Thamesmead, and I know, you know, I've known him for years. Evans, he's a tricky little winger, and he can produce some great goals.
If you haven't seen the goal, he smashed it from outside the box straight to the top corner. So it was a great strike.
Whitehawk 2, Carshalton Athletic 2, Wingate and Finchley 2, Brighton 2, Regent 2. Again, a last-minute penalty there as well. And Worthing 0, Enfield Town 3. Billy Bricknell on the score sheet in front of 743 at Worthing. In the North Division, the game between the top 2, or as was, Averley 0, Bowers and Pitsea 1, Lewis Manor with a 29th minute goal, 359 here at Parkside. Unfortunate for David Hughes making a mistake that handed it straight to Lewis Manor. Did Bowers deserve to win? Yeah, they did. To be honest with you, I think they controlled the game. I thought some people would probably shoot me or whatever else, but I just felt it was a case of, again, they had the game plan. They knew how to do it. Did they have chances? Yeah, they had a couple of chances where they possibly could have nicked an equaliser or whatever. But I thought Bowers, if anybody finishes above them this year, it's
been like that for a couple of years. I think that Rob should get a hell of a lot of credit for what he's doing at Bowers. And if you look at the team sheet, and I did glance at that team sheet earlier, there's not a lot of change over the last couple of years, and he's put together a very, very strong squad. He's brought in a couple of players when he needs to. But they have been so good for the last 3 or 4 years, even from when we were battling with them in the Essex Senior League. Rob was in charge then, and we had some great games with them, real humdingers, critical games. Every game we played against them was critical. And I'm really pleased for them, really pleased for that club and for Rob in particular.
I know we were going to talk about referees later, but there was a horrific challenge in that game, and how the Bowers and Pitsea number 7, without looking to see what his name is, how he managed to be substituted about 10 minutes later and walk off with we've on his 2 feet, I'll never know, but it was horrendous, and didn't even get a yellow card, the Abley player in that game, but it was an interesting challenge, shall we say. Brentwood Town 0, Morden and Tiptree 1, in front of 121. Canby Island 2, Grays Athletic 0, 287. Watching that one.
That surprised me, that result from last year. We keep saying about Canby maybe not on their potential, but they've only got themselves now just outside the playoffs, and Grays won a good run. We're talking a firepower, what they've got.
And definitely, and I mean Jamie done a good job. They've been in 3 years now in Ryman Lake, and I thought they would go up this season. The worst scenario playoffs. The last couple of results against everybody the other night. I think there was 2-1 up one stage.
4-3, yeah. Another surprise result, but 2 great results for Dereham in the last week. Coggeshall Town 0, Dereham Town 0, in front of only 90 at Coggeshall, but of course that followed up the draw with Abley the week before as well. Yep. So great couple of points there for Dereham. Felixstowe Walton 1, Great Wakering 0, 400. Felixstowe, to watch that one. She's an amazing crowd, because I wouldn't have thought Great Wakering would have took too many to Felixstowe. Haybridge Swifts 2, AFC Sudbury 0, 169 there. Mildenhall Town 0, Basildon United 1, and last minute goal for Basildon. I think that's 2-2 now for Basildon.
Yeah.
So 169 watching that. Romford 0, Bury Town 4, 103 there to watch that one, and Romford now slipping into that relegation zone after being top early doors. Tilbury 0, Southampton Rangers 3, probably the shock result of the day.
One of the shocks, mate, definitely.
123 there. Mole ready on the score sheet again, 2 more for him. And Whittam Town 1, Barking 1, 97 there to watch that one. In the South Central, I would have said this was a bit of a surprise as well. Ashford Town 2, Hayes and Yedding 2.
Local derby though, David. It's quite close then still, I think. Yeah, it is. But I haven't seen Hayes play. Everyone said how good, but I have watched Ashford, and they're quite a strong side. So
another shock one of us, I suppose, in a way as well. Bedfont Sports 1, Bracknell Town 1. Last 89th minute equaliser for Bracknell. Shalfont St Peter 1, South Park 2. All of a sudden, South Park are getting there.
They owe me a massive favour, because since I said they're in absolute trouble and they ain't going to win a game, and then come on Molesley, I think they should be deducted 9 points. And Molesley go above them. Right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's the crowd that surprised me at Chalfont. We used to play Chalfont in the old Spartan South Midlands League, and they were well supported in those days. And to see a crowd of 64? It's astonishing, really.
Cheshunt 2, Molesley 0, 150. And I suppose what we should say is get well suited Jason Hallett, who fractured his skull in that game at the weekend as well. So best wishes to him.
Definitely. I echo that as well.
Chipstead 2, FC Romania 1, 53 at Chipstead. So it gets lower and lower. Do you think that some of these results, some of these crowds though, are due to the fact of the distance between these teams, or as we call it, the Jigsaw League?
There's got to be something like that, isn't it? Chipstead have never got big crowds anyway, Dave. But there's got to be. And obviously, FC Romania don't take many, but if you're travelling a distance, they're not going to come. But on the other side of it, for the first year, some supporters do like going to these grounds, and they can tick them off. But
Egham Town 0, Ware 3. The old boy Mr. Cowley getting the third, 84 at Egham.
Is that right?
Yeah. Harlow Town, Hanwell Town 0, Marlow 6.
What a shock that is to me. We played them in the trial. I know they've lost 1 or 2 players, but they were such a good side. On a pitch, it's the best pitch you're playing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In non-league football. And I know Marlow are amongst it, but I've never seen them getting hammered 6 all season at all. Big surprise.
No, I'm shocked by that as well.
Interesting if there's any sending offs around that.
And don't forget, Harlow and Hanwell had such a good FA Cup run as well. They had a great FA Cup run, and we played them in a pre-season friendly. We got good friends at Hanwell going back to our Spartan days, and I'm shocked at that result as well, to be honest with you.
Hertford Town 1, 2 in Mitcham 2.
row, haven't they?
Northwood 1, Westfield 3, and Uxbridge 0, Waltham Abbey 2, 64.
Yeah, I'm pleased with Michael Spence. Another result for him. Someone's just text you.
Yeah, I got a clue what they said there. We'll let Hussein translate that one.
Translate one for us. I think he said it over, didn't he? Is that what he means?
Speak up, can't hear you.
Yeah. In the South East Division, Faversham Town 1, Cray Wanderers 1, 2, 3, 4. What a result that is.
Very big surprise. They've been struggling. Faversham, and like I said, we played Cray the week before, and they are a good side, and we play well, Dave, as well. To be honest with you, and I know we didn't do the show last week, which was 0, but they are a very, very good side, and they'll hold their own next year as well. So for Faversham to go and get a point at home, I know that at home is a great result for them. They need it as well because they've slipped down a bit, and now my mate's gone in at Greenwich Borough. I thought would do.
Steve
I don't think they're going to be doing well. Steve Salas, they're joint.
Yes, both. Yeah.
They're not going to. I think they'll pick up again. And Herne Bay, which we're going to come to in a minute.
Greenwich Borough 0, Winstable Town 0, 92 there. Herne Bay 4, Hastings 1, 291 there. And as I said off air earlier on, there was a young man said on the Friday show when we were talking about results and going through the rest of the fixtures, he said Herne Bay would win 3-1 against Hastings. We laughed and said, if that happens, you can come on the show. We have invited him on the show for Friday night. Whether or not he's going to accept to come on or not, I'm not too sure. But 4-1.
Dave, it's a big result. Hastings are very good. Herne Bay have underachieved this year. They have got firepower with Jay Embry. I think he
got 2, yeah.
Got 2 again, got 4 the week before, I think, as well. They've gone through a little resurgence, and they're a young side, and they still think that they will still think at the moment they're well below they should be, but they're picking results up now, and it's making that bottom. Now we're sitting bottom, and obviously a new manager's got in there as well. Our league's going to get really interesting towards the bottom as well as it is at the top.
Yeah. Horsham 1, Ramsgate 0, Sevenoaks Town 3, East Grinstead 3, 157 in there, and East Grinstead 2-0 up as well at one stage, and 3-1 up as well. Sittingbourne 1, Haywards Heath 2, Three Bridges 0, Ashford United 1, VCD 2, Hive Town 2, 107.
Yeah, the 107. There must be a naught or something missed off somewhere. I think it must be at the front. No, listen, they were entertained to a good game, and I was just saying, it's a game that I was fuming after. That we dropped 2 points. We had a bare 11, but we went into the game. We played really well. I know Sam, the Ives manager, fairly well, and we both done an interview after the game, and he thought they deserved the draw because they dominated the first half. Well, we had 14 corners in the first half, so obviously they must have really played well in their box. We went a goal down, which was unbelievable, and then we come out the second half and we played so well. We got a pen, which we should have had a pen at half time in the first half, and then the ref comes out half time and says he did make a mistake. It was a pen, which really went down well. Second half we played well, got a goal, got a second, and their goalkeepers made 3 or 4 unbelievable saves, but 3 of them were on the spin. He'd done 2 double save, a treble save. We could go 2-1 up, and then my goalkeepers, I told you, had a bit of a shocker we're in stoppage time. The ball's got played over the top. He just has to come out to the edge of his box and pick it up. Stays in his goal line. Centre half chases the centre forward down, knocks it off for a corner. They bring the big goalkeeper up, wearing the same coloured jersey as us, which the ref allowed. He handballs it and kicks it in the net. So we're gutted. Run past us all, called us the worst name under the sun 4 times. Lino flags, calls the ref over. They book him. So where that comes from, I don't know. But it felt like a defeat. We've all been there. I felt for our lads, but it weren't a bad game for the individual. But as Aki said, it's our second draw of the year, and we don't do draws. And I was a bit gutted, but it dropped us down a place. The win would have still kept us 1 point out of class. We still got a great chance, and we got a few players back this week. Hopefully, I said we had our whole forward line missing on Saturday, but one of them. A bit disappointed. Weren't just down to the referee. It weren't his fault.
Jake's coming and said Hussein is a legend. He's brought a fresh new life into the club. Such a nice bloke, and the players seem to love his dance. Maybe that's why we're winning again. And Ian Townsend is watching as well. At Whiteleaf 2, Phoenix Sports 0, 119 to see Whiteleaf beat Phoenix. And Phoenix having a bit of a tough time, isn't it?
No, they had a great result last week, didn't they? They beat Horsham. Obviously, I see the lads yesterday. There was 3 players sent off. They had 2, and obviously Whiteleaf won. They said they didn't play well at all. They reckon the pitch at Whiteleaf needs completely relaying as well. But they said they weren't up. Not weren't up for it. They did perform, but the melee at the end wasn't helped. But Whiteleaf are in the playoffs. They're a strong side, good going forward, and obviously got the result there.
Just have a quick look at the tables. And in the Prem, it's Dorking and the new leaders played 27 with 53. Comes Haringey 27 with 52. Lewis 27 with 45. Mersham, which have come from nowhere, 26 with 44. Bognor Regis 27 with 43. And then Folkestone and Tonbridge Angels just outside on 42. And then 3 teams outside on 41. But it's a big shout as well to Brighton City Region. Have come from near the relegation zone up to 11th now. So they're actually moving up in the, not too far away from those playoff places now, but only 4 points off the playoffs now from being, well, at one stage, thinking the worst for them, and now they're up there. At the bottom, Whitehawk played 26 with 21. Birdyshield Town played 26 with 24. Wingate and Finchley now played 25 with 25. Harlow out the relegation zone played 27 with 26. Hornchurch 27 with 27. And Potters Bar 27 with 29. In the North Division, Bowers and Pitsea increased their lead at the top, played 23 with 53. Then comes Morden and Tiptree, played 23 with 47. Haybridge Swifts 23 with 47. Averley dropped down but have only played 22 with 46. Coggeshall played 23 with 40. And then Bury Town have played 24 with 36. At the bottom, Dereham picked up a couple of points in the last couple of weeks. They played 23 with 16. Romford 23 with 18. Mildenhall 23 with 18. And a 7-point gap to Great Wakering and Soham on 25. In the Jigsaw League, it is Hayes and Yedding. They're at the top. They've played 21 with 51. Marlow 23 with 45. Bracknell played 23 with 44. Cheshunt have played 23 with 44. Westfield have played 23 with 42. And Waltham Abbey just outside played 23 with 40. At the bottom, Egham Town, they're still bottom, played 23 with 9. Molesley 22 with 11. South Park 22 with 18. And FC Romania 23 with 20. And in the South East Division, it's Cray Wanderers at top. They played 22 with 55. 11-point gap now to Hastings on 44. Ashford are on 42. Horsham 41. Whiteleaf on 38. Haywards Heath on 36. And VCD on 35. At the bottom, it's Greenwich Borough played 22 with 17. City Ball 21 with 17. Faversham 22 with 20. Herne Bay 21 with 20. Then a 4-point gap to East Grinstead, Guernsey and Winstable Town. So, I mean, in your league, of course, only one go down now in your league, but I mean, it's going to be tight.
Oh, mega tight, mate. Like I said, I would have said Greenwich Borough. Someone at Faversham messaged me in the week, said thanks for being Sitting Bull. And I said, look, you're going to be all right. Greenwich Borough, I don't think, are going to get another win. They've done 7 and 8, and they was in dire straits. We actually thought they were going to fold again, Dave. But like I said, Steve's come in this week and signed 5 or 6 players, and I think they'll get out of it. On the other side of it, we played Sittingbourne, who hadn't won a game for 10 or whatever, brought in the lad from, I think, Dover's Youth Academy, as manager, and he's brought in again 8 or 9 young kids, and against us, they didn't stop, and they really put in a shift. And if they carry on with that, and I know they only lost 2-1 against Haywards Heath on Saturday, and if they do that, they'll pick some points up as well. So I can't call that one. I really can't.
It's going to be a tight one. But I mean, in the Premier Division, I mean, who do you see being the ones that's going to drop out?
I mean, a few weeks ago, I said Whitehall is definite. But suddenly they start getting results. I'm not going to make prediction. I'm definitely not going to make prediction. It changes every week. At one stage last week, all the bottom teams was losing except HARLOW. And suddenly in the last 20 minutes, I can see that they're all drawing.
I fear a little bit for Wingate.
Yeah, I do as
for
well.
the first time, and I know Aaron well, and but since they've, did they use the Iron Manager on Saturday? The AO or whatever it is.
Oh right, yeah.
On Saturday.
Yeah, I was.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I know publicity, fair enough. But I know Dave Norman's gone in there, and again, it's surprised me the turnaround of managers they've had over the last few years. It's not an Aaron way, and I know when they first came into the league, they was always in amongst that, and then all of a sudden I don't know how I was going to say they've always been punching them above their weight with the finances they've got, but I just fear for them a little bit at the moment.
We've played 3 of the bottom 4 teams in the last 3 weeks, and we've got Burgess Hill to come on Saturday, and that Whitehawk played really well against us. Well, I know we beat them 3-0, but again, they're a lot of young kids, a lot of endeavour. As you said a moment ago, Keith, the young kids just don't give up. And since then, they've gone on and pulled out a couple of good results. Obviously, we spoke about Harlow earlier, turning us over. Wingate, we beat comfortably on New Year's Day, and I didn't see, with all due respect to the club, I don't know their players, but from what I saw on the day, they're going to struggle. If it wasn't for their goalkeeper, in all seriousness, everyone knows we would have scored 10 that day. So, Gore was unbelievable, the game of his life. It's all, there was one of their fans videoed it, and it's just save after save after save. It's unbelievable. As I say, we've got Burgess Hill on Saturday, and we'll see what happens there. So it's very difficult to call, very close down there.
It's funny when you look at the bottom 3, obviously, take Wingate out with Burgess and Whitehawk doing well. And obviously, Harlow picked up a couple of results. As we said before, Hornchurch sort of going the other way. The other team that's really shocked me, Dave, and I think was having a shocker of a season. I know a lot of people over there is Margate. That's shocking what's gone on over there.
Dropping like stone.
Well, we played them last week, and ultimately we scored with 3 minutes to go to beat them 1-0. And I know they felt, obviously, any team that lets a goal in that stage like we did on Saturday feels a little bit hard done by. But the truth is, we were down to 10 men after 20 minutes, and they didn't threaten. So, again, a lot of heart, a lot of endeavour. They looked decent on the ball, and they had more of the ball at certain phases, as you would expect with the extra man, but they didn't threaten at all. And I think that, again, is a problem for them. They look solid at the back. I think they don't concede many goals. Throughout the whole season, they've not conceded many goals, but I just don't think they're scoring enough.
They've got Frank Collin and that up front. They've got people that have scored goals. And actually, is it an age thing now with them? It's the same thing you said about George Fussell, proven goal scorer at that level.
We just had some messages in. Derek Burbage said, when asked about an alleged handball, Denley said, I know one thing, Keith didn't see that because there's about 20 bodies in front of him, and I can't see either. Opinions.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, come back to that. Just go for the others and we'll get you to come back to it. Donna Weeks, of course, has said Hussein is a lightweight. Jake Murphy said, and a Spurs fan. Ian Townsend has said, good to see Aki on the panel. I have to be neutral, but I have loved my time at Haringey over the last couple of seasons. Wonderful club, lovely people in the stand and the boardroom, and the job that he and Tom have done there is just superb. Is it Gluen?
Thank you.
Donna, he doesn't drink. Jake Murphy, Wingate, Burgess, Whitehawk, the pick, but Jake reckons will go down this season. So, yeah, go on, your reply to Derek?
Yeah, Jack mentioned Derek. Pretty obvious why, I don't think you even had to see it, but I've seen the replay as well, and as the ref said, there was about 20 bodies in there, everyone was in the 6-yard box, but both goalkeepers were in orange, and I know that one's 6'4", but the ref actually said he didn't see it because they were so close together. But when everyone's going handball, and then when the goalkeeper's running past you, calling all the names under the sun, saying, I've handballed it, I don't need to be Inspector Clouseau. But Sam did, to be fair, Sam didn't hear what he called us, because when the ref booked him, he asked him what it was for. So, and even in the changing room, when he came in and see me afterwards, the goalkeeper too apologised, to be fair, even though I took it quite well. He mentioned it was football, so that's why I know it was handball. So,
I mean, you say that about the goalkeepers wearing orange. There was one thing I only saw sort of 5 minutes of it, but it was the Chelsea Sheffield Wednesday Cup game yesterday as well. And there was one of the goalkeepers, I don't know which one it was, the shirt was so close to the Sheffield Wednesday's goalkeeper's shirt. It was unbelievable. The players, it was unbelievable. We looked as if we were the same kit.
We bought it up, and to be fair, someone from the league was there as well. Okay, we bought the goalkeeper's shirt up, and it's okay, but and it's something really I should have said, because in the last minute, most referees, goalkeepers very rarely go in the box. Okay, but when they did, if I would have shouted at ref, what's going on? You need to stop it. What would have happened? You know, because it did. In the end, it did make a difference. Because if he would have been in a bright a bright yellow shirt, you might have seen the hand there. It means, you know, when it's like, it's not just, that's not why they scored. Like I said to you, it's my goalkeeper's fault why they scored. I've said that from day one. But it's just something to sit there and think, why put yourself in that position?
Donald's just come back. Seriously, Husseini's a breath of fresh air. He brings so much fun to the club, and he's very much loved by all of us at Harlow Town.
Well, just one other point, though, just on Ian's one about neutral. Are you sure? So we move on.
So go into you. I mean, we talked a bit, Ian, and I think if I remember rightly, the tweet and conversation, shall we say, that came around the referees came from a official Bostic League tweet.
Yes, it is. That must have had a league field, Dave.
That came through. I mean, explain to if anybody hasn't seen the tweet, hasn't seen the messages, and seen some of the replies that Keith got to it. And to be really honest with you, and I know the man sitting next to me, and we're good friends, but the fact of the matter is, I think what annoys me whenever I see the tweets is that everybody automatically jumps on the bandwagon that keeps having a pop at referees. And people just do not read these tweets or any messages that Keith puts on Facebook, and you do not read them from top to bottom, because almost every tweet that Keith puts out about a referee is there to help the referees, and he's trying to help referees, and he's got different ideas of how to help them, to the extent of, I think, a text conversation that we had the other day as well, around the fact that Mark Halsey was on Talk Sport, and he was actually suggesting all the same things that Keith had suggested 4 months beforehand. So there's an ex-Premier League referee saying almost exactly the same as what Keith was saying. And I think some people just read the first couple of lines that Keith put in and automatically assumed he was having a pop at referee, when you weren't. He was there trying to help the referees and trying to point out a way of how we can improve referees at this level.
Yeah, Dave, listen, we're coming to referees in detail after we spoke to the two guys, but that's exactly right. You know, my opinion is, listen, there's loads of people who do moan about referees. Right? Instead of everyone going on the bandwagon going, oh, you moan at refs, you should look after refs, blah, blah, blah. Look at the reason why people are moaning at referees. Okay? People say if you stop moaning at referees, they would get better. Well, that's complete rubbish. Right? You moan at either, people get moaned at because they're either doing something wrong. Okay? So for me, you just try and look into why they're doing something wrong. And I keep saying, and I've been saying this from day one, the FA are treating us on non-league football and our league and whatever other leagues, the Evo Stick, the Northern Prem, like absolute mugs. Okay? As long as the Premiership are fine and the Pro, they don't give a monkeys about us, right? And they're more worried about a respect campaign, they're more worried about women's football, they're forgetting the main ingredient in football, as people keep saying, is the referees. Now, they moan about us looking after our clubs, fine, our clubs can look after them. We've got people, even though they're volunteers, they're all paid people that can look after that club. These referees have got themselves, right? Most of these referees, I think if you've done a poll, in non-league football, most clubs, if they're honest, right, and most managers, I would say 90% would say the referees at non-league football are not up to standard to their leagues. Right? It's okay for leagues to say, well, yeah, there's a pecking order. You know, if you're in the Premiership, you're going to get the best refs. If you're in the Championship, you're going to get the second best. I understand that. But our level of football for the players we've got, the level of referees are not at that level. And the reason because they're not looked after, they're not coached, they don't get a penny spent on them. You know, let's weigh it up. And this is what I keep trying to say. A referee is a practical job. Right? If I was a trainee plumber, would the bloke come up to me, or British Gas, and go, there's a boiler, right? There's a book, go and stick that boiler in. They wouldn't. Right? And I know it's completely different. Someone would have to train me out, put the ball train, and keep training them. If I gave someone carbon dioxide poisoning, they wouldn't stick me in tomorrow, the day after, into another house and go, have a go, like they stick a referee in the following week. And I know I'm making it out of all proportion. It's the same thing. I would be trained, I would be coached. And there's just no, and it ain't these referees' fault. Right? Yeah. The FA need to stop mugging us all off. Show us where our fine money's going that they take from our clubs and put it back in. Spend that, the FA have done a tremendous job, and I said this, with English youth football. They've got St George's Park, our 17s, 18s, 19s, 21s now, and our England first team are all doing well over a 5 or 10 year plan where they've took them away as academies, blah, blah, blah. The same has got to be with referees. Our England football team was rubbish. It got to a point where we were like, oh my God, let's go and support Scotland, right? And that is the worst thing in the planet, right? So all of a sudden, the World Cup comes round, we haven't got a referee in the World Cup, and we invented the game. So someone at the FA's got to go, whoa, hold on, something's going wrong. Everyone's complaining, right? Let's look at the respect thing. Well, how can you have a respect? Why are teams not respecting referees? Now, is it because we're all loudmouths? Well, this has been going on for years. No, it's because they're not good enough. And we people that put so much effort and so much time, money, our own money, having to do changing rooms, having to do this and that. The FA they're going to relegate teams because their changing rooms ain't big enough this year. They've known for 5 years. Well, they've known for 5 years we ain't got enough referees. What have they done for non-league football? Nothing else. Jack, crap.
I think, I can give you examples. During the games, how many allowed to stand up? Is it 2?
Yeah.
Some games, you look at the opposition, you got 5 people standing up. Some linesmen say, yes, only 2. The others sit down. Some linesmen sees it. We tell them, look, how many? They don't even care.
No. We can all put points out for me where we've all had bad mistakes and whatever. But for a referee, I've had people go up to me this week, oh, listen, I've done my own work on it, Dave, the last 2 weeks, and today I've done this campaign position. And I am someone that people say moan and that I will do something about. I'm not someone that will just, I've known league officials that moan at referees, and they're not helping us either, because they don't want the FA to either take something away from them. But it's us that are all suffering. But we're the ones that get penalised for respect, we're the ones that get penalised. The FA needs to help these young kids out. And like I said, I've come up with this training programme. I think they need to put in an academy just to give us all a chance. And I just think as a manager, a club, if you know that the FA are doing their best to give you someone that even in the Premier League, some of the tweets I've had that, that they're being trained. And a referee actually tweeting me saying, what will practical training do to help us? Are you sure? You can't train a referee like you can train a player. What a load of rubbish. Like I said, I'll give you prime examples. If a referee makes a mistake for playing advantage, which I said on the edge of the box, you get them in on a Monday, you show them 10 times that, you should have gave a free kick on the edge of the box, you played advantage, it's gone wide. Look how many attempts on goal have come in from you doing it 10 times wide, be maybe 2. You'd have blown up there, gave the free kick 10 times, we got a shot on goal. And then they learn and they come back. It's just, I'm just scratching the surface, but I'm just saying that enough's enough. And all the people that can, they can say about me moaning, I've got a pair of balls, and I will stand up in front of the FA, and I've said this on my interview, they can ban me, do what they want. I don't give a monkeys. Because when I stop managing football, I'm going to end up taking over the job at the chairman of this league or saying, because I will do something, and I will make a difference. I won't sit there licking people's backsides. I'm not saying how one is, by the way, but I'm not that sort of person. And if it means I'm trying to help the refs out because no one else is. And I'm not going to say I'm going to make a massive difference, Dave. I'm not. But I can't sit there anymore and I try and analyse things. And you are right. Sometimes you can sit there and go, we're moaning at the refs. And I do. We all do. They do make mistakes. I can get that. But if there's at least a way to try and make them better, if my young youth, like I said, there's all these football academies everywhere now. Everywhere, every team's got an academy. We'll have a proper referees academy where they're full time, they get paid by the FA. We're the ones that pay referee. I've never known someone work for someone else and someone else has to pay them. I've never known that anywhere else apart from in our FA. So the Premier League, and this is what I'm about, the Premier League referees, they do proper training when they're not got their games. But they do this sort of training. So just filter it down and just let the FA pay for it for the new up and coming one.
And also, if I can just interject on that point, Keith, I think part of the biggest problems that I've seen at this level is the lack of teamwork between a referee and his assistants, because we're watching games where you cannot tell what sort of instruction an assistant has been given. You'll get a situation where one of the assistants is flagging for a foul, and then at the other side of the pitch he's not. And when you try and talk to them at the end of the game, they'll say, well, he told me not to, or he told me to. And you can't have two different assistants being given two different sets of instructions. Either they're both told, if you see an infringement and you're in a better position than me to see it, then flag for it, or he says, free kicks are down to me, I'm not interested in your involvement. Fine, at least you know that's what's being said. My other big criticism, veering away from referees, is the fact that we're getting assistants who just simply cannot run. They can never get in line with play. Look how fast our game is. If you see our boys, we are fast. We've got a fast front line. Right, they are mega quick. You need to have officials who can keep up with play.
The thing about it, again, someone else said to me the week, these referees do get trained. I went, they don't. They train, and I've spoke to referees. They're meant to do 2 training sessions a year. One in July, and now it's been done. It's a fitness training.
Yeah.
Who the hell can get fit in 2 games? And you're right, these youngsters, but this isn't. This is what I keep saying to everyone. That's not the referee's fault.
No.
It's the people that look after him. Surely, like if you know. And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that, mate. But
no, we can all pick on individual decisions. We've had a couple of horror ones this year, and it's funny that Hussein's here because he was at our ground when we equalised against Harlow in the first game in October, whenever it was, and neither the referee or the assistant saw the ball hit the back stanchion and come back out again. Now these things happen. I'm not too concerned about that. As you said earlier, they make mistakes, they give what they see. That's fair enough. You live by that. But there has to be some consistency, as you point out, Keith, in terms of ability. Mm-hmm. I think any referee on that game against Harlow, when 6 or 7 Haringey players have run off with the goal scorer, celebrating with the crowd, has got to have an inkling that maybe something's happened here. And he's asked the assistant, who's gone, I'm not sure, therefore play on. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right?
How did the second goal happen? Do you remember? While he was celebrating, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, your goalkeeper was very, very clever. He come back off the stanchion into his hands, and he took a quick drop kick, and your centre forwards run after it, and we flattened him on the edge of the penalty area. But that was because there was only 3 players left on the pitch. There was all your players walking out of the penalty area crying they just conceded a goal, and our lot all off the pitch celebrating a goal that never was. But as I say, that was a mistake. I was unhappy about it at the time, obviously. But then when you approached them after the game, that took experience. You didn't even need to see that. If you had a blindfold on, you'd know that was a goal from everybody's reaction. But there's no experience from these officials for a reaction like that. I have never, in 58 years of watching football, ever seen a player run off headfirst into the crowd, followed by the rest of his teammates when he's hit the post. I've never seen it. It just doesn't happen. But that's an incident that happened. The other one that really wound all of us up this year, and to be fair to the manager and the players, as you mentioned earlier, the respect campaign, they showed a lot of respect to this referee, because he let, and the Merstham, anyone from Merstham listening to this, I mean, they were laughing their heads off. He let them take a penalty when my goalkeeper wasn't looking. He said, I blew the whistle. My goalkeeper was looking backwards at where the line was. Their player didn't take a run up. As soon as he heard the whistle, he passed it into the opposite corner. Now, that is just ridiculous. But they get away with it. And again, if someone was assessed, if someone had seen it, something would have been done about it. We can complain about it. It doesn't get us the points.
Well, Ian Townsend's sent a message. Firstly, I pushed a tweet from the Kent FA advertising for people to become. So if people don't know, Ian's does the official Bostic League Twitter feed. I made a point on the league account that the people who tweet on a Saturday morning fans, moaning about referees, and believe me, there are many, might want to see if they can do it. Secondly, I stand on the sidelines as a neutral every weekend, somewhere different every weekend, and I listen to the abuse the refs get, and I wouldn't do their job if you pay me 50 grand a year. Now, whilst I think that an extra training would be a good thing, and I can't all argue that refs need more investment, I have to say that it works both ways. If they treated dissenting football the way they do in rugby, we would end up most games with 9v9. And by the way, with my views, that's my view, not the league's view. Jason Collins put on it, it's not so much being a bad official, it's consistency. Some officials give yellow cards for celebrating with fans, some don't. Some will give a yellow for swearing, some won't, etc. Jake said, yeah, consistency is poor. You have one ref one week giving something and not the other. Even I saw the goal from where I was. We all agreed it was a goal, said Donna, Secretary of HARLOW. Mark Kirby, Liam Curry said Mark Kirby would never sprint like that unless it was a goal.
That's true.
I mean, before you answer that bit from Ian, I mean, me and my daughter passed our referees course. I'd done a load of refereeing before I went to do the test, only at youth level. She went in and did it. She went and did it on the same day as I did. She passed it on the same day as I did. And from that day of being given the books and all the rest of it, she never had any advice, any help, or anything whatsoever from the Hertfordshire FA we passed with, or anybody else came to her and actually offered the young girl, who at that stage was only sort of like, late teens.
I've got a young kid that I know now that's 15 doing it the same thing. Listen, I'll just answer him quickly. This is what drives me, just one of the things he said. It had nothing to do with this, got nothing to do with him. But Ian's tweet was actually from the league, right? Yet not an issue. This is why I bit at one point of it. It wasn't an issue, right, with him just forwarding the Kent FA thing. It was actually, well, if you want to stop moaning at refs. So basically, that come from the league, not Ian. I don't know who does it, right? So you're sitting there going, well, is that the league's take on it then, is it? That we're moaning and blah, blah, blah. And secondly, is it? But let's cut this crap about rugby, right, and discipline, right? Well, everyone goes, oh yeah, no one abuses rugby referees. But it's not, look at the footballers and what sort of influence they are on kids. Rugby players punch each other in the face, gouge each other's eyes out, stamp on them, and they get simping. So don't give me that crap.
No, I just on that point as well. Some people may call me naive. I don't think I am. You don't see a level of abuse on officials at this level that happens at the lower levels. I mean, I've seen both my kids grow up playing football, and yes, there's been some abuse, a lot of abuse, and that is wrong in youth football. There's loads of it going on. But in all seriousness, at this level we're talking about now, that doesn't happen. The odd comment from a supporter here and there, maybe, but they don't get abused the way it's made out that they do. Yes, you say things, and players say things. It's the emotion of the game. People say things. They've got the cards and the ability to deal with that.
Yeah.
But
actually, again, just going over, this is what everyone's getting misunderstood, right? And Dave's just said it. I'm not harping on. Listen, we can sit here and we could go for 2 days talking about referee decisions, blah blah blah. What I'm saying is, there's a reason for it, and the reason for it is because they're not up to level, because they're not getting any help. Now, the top level, and what's it, the lad from Atkinson Stanley, the manager, what he said, right? Agreed with that or not, but he's right. The top referees can earn up to £200,000 a year. Now, if you're a young lad, that's a decent career you can have, right? But at the moment, and I looked into it, and the Kent FA and what he's saying, I'm a young 15-year-old kid, right? And I'm looking for a job, right? So all of a sudden, there's a host, right? And here's the job application. Come and be a referee. Come down for a 50 quid a week. Come and get abused.
35.
But secondly, you've got to buy your own kit. You've got to pay for your own badges or your own whatever. I know the Kent FA are doing 12.50, 1.15, and you can come and get abused, and no one's going to look after you. We might get Uncle Albert out of Only Fools and Horses to sit in the crowd and say, when I was in the war, I used to referee like that. And that is what the FA are doing to these youngsters. It's not their decisions what they're doing wrong. They're being left lambs to a slaughter. That is what I'm saying has got to change. And this is why I'm sticking my neck out. It ain't Dave whatever or referee, the referee VCD versus I. It ain't the referee. They ain't their fault. It's the geezers at the FA that are sitting there getting paid a decent wage and are doing an absolute crap job. For us in non-league football, that is what I am saying needs to change. Not these referees. They could be, and they've worked hard. They do well. You try and, talk to them or whatever. But when they're making mistakes, and they're making mistakes because they're not qualified. Someone else would be better qualified if they're looked after. And it's the same in any walk of life. The more you help people at this level, the referee is a massive part. I'm not having a go at them, and this is what I keep saying. And some people just aren't getting. I am going straight to the top at the FA and saying, you are killing us. You need to start looking after our club, your club, my club, properly, because you're quite happy to fine us all for not doing the right things, but the most important three people to get your game of football going, to stop us having bad discipline problems, to stop the crowd calling him, if you looked at the Brighton Lee video, all the names under the sun. Look after the person that's wearing your badge.
Well, it's the consequences of what they do as well. I mean, look at the cost to each of our clubs to run for a season.
Yep.
Look at the money we're spending to, say, for example, try and get promotion to the next level. If that is scuppered by a poor decision, you miss out by 1 point. Mm-hmm. All your money's been wasted.
If I turned it around to you, and the same with this, and you knew, right? Just say, for instance, we had a month, right? And this is completely hypothetical, where we had the Premiership referees refereed our league, right? You knew they were full time. You knew they were doing all our games got videoed and whatever, but you knew we had, full time referees. Don't have to be that would work. So over the course of the time, some of them mistakes, you're going to get more consistency. You're going to get your mistake because you do get it.
Yeah.
But that is the beauty of football, right? Is mistakes, right? Not like every other 5 minutes, but it is mistakes. You wouldn't be happy because that is the nature of that is why football is football. You're crowd and that. But there would be less discipline. There would be, less aggravation. The referees wouldn't be getting it in the ear hole. And that's all I was saying. Yeah, they would. They wouldn't, because you'd be sitting there going, do you know what? The FA are trying to make a difference, trying to help us. And no one's actually said, before, when there's funding, blips and blobs, well, you've tried to help us with that. You've tried to help us with that. Just for me, I just think over the course of how many years now, they've just been left. And because it's non-league football, they don't care. And how's that person going to get up to be the next Mark Howsey and whatever? It's going to take, they're fast-tracking them, and that is where these mistakes are coming. They're fast-tracking them, and they're not used to playing. There are a lot of younger referees there, and they're not used to what's going on. And it ain't their fault. They could be decent referees if someone properly trains them.
I mean, even to the extent, I used to love refereeing. When I was doing the refereeing, I know it's a different level to what we're necessarily talking about, but I remember going to one game, went down to Thaden Boys to referee a game down there. It was 212 teams. That's all it was. Tiny little tots who was refereeing there. And the abuse that the Thaden Boys fans were giving the Epping Boys was just unbelievable. Getting to stages where I had to stop the game 2 or 3 times, where the abuse to these young kids was just diabolical, even to the extent I had to call the managers in to talk to them. I spoke to the captains to speak to them and said, look, you've got to give the kids a chance to throw a football on the touchline, not be actually standing right up to them or standing in front of them. And they were, swearing and all that sort of stuff that they were actually they were taking as well. So one more incident, we'll have to abandon the game. And it was about another 5 minutes into the game, and this little lad's got to take a throw in from Epping, and these two older people, shall we say, must have been in their late 60s, granny and grandma watching their boy play, gets hold of this poor young kid and just shoves him to the floor when he tries to take a throw in. And you call the game off. You get, as you just said, barrels of abuse from the Thaden Boys people. I go to my car, and as I'm going to my car, the manager of that team is telling them to throw stuff at me. Now I'm getting stones, I'm getting cans, I'm getting bottles, everything thrown at me in the car park. And you get to see this bloke coming towards me with a dog, and you think, I'm going to get thumped here. I'm going to get absolutely thumped here. And the bloke turned around to me and went, I can't believe he didn't abandon it earlier. He said, I was watching it as a neutral. He said it was just unbelievable. And no one did nothing.
All that ain't good. But, let's not try and turn it around. I'll ask you this question. Right? How long have you been at Haringey?
23 years.
Okay. In that 23 years, how much have you tried to make your club more professional?
Well, we're trying all the time, particularly since I've been in charge, since 2004, the last 14 going into 15 years.
Why have you done that?
Because I want to create a team in the locality that everyone will be proud of.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, if you've been, there's guidelines why you've had to do that. But is that just because that you're a hanger, but you just want the club to be the best it can be?
Absolutely.
So you put your time, your effort, your money into it, but you're part of football. So football, for you to do that, obviously you need good results. You need to do well, and off the pitch you've had to do a lot more than what anyone sees. Okay, so how is it that your club in non-league football can do that, but that one of the major things, the FA, that are a multi-billion-pound organisation, can't help non-league football, your club, by helping out, giving you the best officials they can for your level?
Well,
so why have you gone all professional, but the FA haven't done it for us?
This is the problem. This is what hurts me, because of the amount of money we're injecting into the club. We haven't got by far the biggest budget in our division, but there is a reasonable budget there. And that money is invested by me and the others with a view to taking the club as high and as far as we can. And obviously,
how much have you had to spend on your club itself with that players' budget? Do you think, how much money over them years would you say, just top of your head?
Well, we funded our own AstroTurf, so it's into the hundreds of thousands and a new clubhouse. And that has been to create a facility that can be used by the local community, to create a club that the local community want to be an active part of. And we have gone a long way over the last few years in particular to achieving that. But since we've had the AstroTurf, this is the third season of the synthetic surface, it's made a massive difference to the quality of what we've got on offer. But that's why I mentioned earlier that the funding side of it, because when you get to that stage where you're investing this money with a view to an outcome, we want to get as far as we can go. There's going to come a level where we can't go anymore financially, but that's why, from the officials' point of view, as I said to you earlier, we may not have got anything out of that game with HARLOW earlier in the season, but we equalised with 8 minutes to go. That's a point. If we'd have not conceded another goal, potentially 3. A situation where Merstham get an equaliser and my goalkeeper's not looking at a penalty, when we're 2-1 up, we get a point, that could have been 3. Ultimately, looking at where we are now with Dorking, neck and neck, others right behind us, those 3 or 4 points may cost us promotion. And that is galling, to be honest with you, because we put our heart and soul into doing the best we can, creating the best we can for that goal, to try and achieve that goal. So that's where I'm with you in terms of, as you said earlier, I know I've picked on a couple of incidents, and I'm sure people may be able to say, well, hang on a minute, Haringey, what about when you were lucky in the 90th minute when this, that and the other happened, when the referee didn't see this, didn't see that? So, yeah, I can see that there are two sides to the argument, but I do agree with you that as a collective group of officials, they should be better than they are for the standard that we play at, because people should not underestimate the standard that we play at. It is a very high standard. We've got a lot of these clubs in our division have ex-pros, even to the younger ones, 18, 19, 20, who were brought up in the professional environment and have now, landed at level 1, level 2, level 3 football, and even level 4 football.
This is exactly what I was trying to. This is what I'm saying, and this is what some people do. I'm not getting. I can only remember, I've only been to Haringey since you had the AstroTurf and whatever. I used to remember coming on the show and people going, "Oh no, Haringey, the pitch was shocking," blah blah blah. Right? So you've made a massive change, and now you can say, and the league, especially what you've done in the FA Cup and whatever, that you're a club that you can be proud of anyway with what you've done over the course of them time, but also the league can be proud, and non-league football can be proud of, right? But do you think you've been let down if I ask you a question from the FA with the standard that you've made your club progress? Like you said, you've got ex-players, great footballers. Now, your team's progressed and non-league football has, and I think everyone will say that now, non-league football has progressed.
Oh, beyond all
even
recognition.
I'm still going up to the national, right? The National League is better than Div 2, right? It's nearly proven that, Lincoln, blah, blah, blah. What I'm trying to say is they've improved, they've had to improve their facilities, their own money, and the only one thing that the FA can give us It's the referees that haven't improved, and I feel let down by it. And I feel they've let the referees down. These little incidents could cost this man and his club promotion. Now that could happen anywhere, and I understand that.
Well, that's why it's difficult.
It's going to keep happening unless things change.
I agree with your standpoint, Keith. It's difficult for me to say I've been let down as such because we've only just come up into this level. It's our first season at this level. Generally speaking, from what I've seen this season, I haven't had a lot of calls for complaint with the majority of referees we've had. My biggest gripe, my bugbear, if you like, is the officials that accompany them, because they are just not capable of keeping up with play and they're making awful decisions. And the worst thing, of course, at this level is that virtually every game is recorded. So we sit back and look at highlights where we're scoring goals that are disallowed for offside when the player's 3 yards onside. And it's just that is infuriating because the assistant is not there. The referee can't do anything with that. He has to rely on that assistant. It's very difficult. You very rarely see, although funnily enough you did see in our playoff final, because we were given a higher recognised referee. I know anyone from Canvey listening to this is not going to agree with what I'm going to say. He let us score a winning goal, or a third goal that effectively finished the game off, after the linesman flagged for offside, and he waved play on because another player came round the outside who was onside, and he scored. Now, I do agree, I've seen the video, the Canvey Island goalkeeper stopped because he saw the flag and our player smacked into the net. But that was a better quality ref who understood the rules better and applied them better. I know it's no consolation to Canvey. I know they were very upset by what happened. I probably would have felt the same if it happened to me, because it did have an impact. Although the assistant flagged a player who wasn't going for the ball, so the person who was onside ran round and collected the ball, I do recognise, because I've been in football long enough to understand, players did stop. Their defenders stopped, the goalkeeper stopped. The answer is play the whistle, I know. But, we did have a better quality ref for that game. And he had the strength of character to overrule an assistant. I mean, the game was 2-1 to us anyway in injury time. So there's no guarantee Canvey Island were going to equalise, but there was still a couple of minutes to go. So they possibly were deprived of promotion.
I've got some comments here. Jake's come back and said, never heard so much sense spoke about this situation before. Jason Collins said, by the comments only from me and Jake, I'm guessing 26 out of 28 viewing are representatives of the FA, as they aren't arguing with the truth that has been said tonight. Jake said, here I'm sick and tired every week of refs' poor decisions, and it isn't just against us. I've seen us get decisions that should have gone the other way. I also find it funny the FA of all of a sudden care when a non-league team goes on a cut run. Premier League football is absolutely dead. Non-league is the real football. But as we make them little money, they don't care. Tom has said, the only one that suffers when we get a poor referee at Haringey Borough is my poor Mrs. Ange. Jake said, you lot are great fans. It was good to have good old terrace battle with singing, although we was outnumbered at home. Donna's come back and said, I also think that the lack of communication when you do a report a referee is disappointing. Jason said, let's hope for decent officials for the vital 6-pointer in the Fen Classico for Soham away to rivals Mildenhall this Saturday, Derby Day. And Nazan Gosdag, dear David, you're very lucky. Welcome this professional football player tonight to get. Yeah.
I'll ask all three of us a question, and this is what we're trying to say again. Do you think referees can be trained by just watching videos? Or do you think the best way is to actually get them on a pitch?
Well, I think the answer to that is obvious. It has to be on a pitch.
Yeah. So again, that's mean no referees. Let's go back to the other one. If you're a full-time footballer or you're a part-time footballer, which one would be the better one normally? If you're going to train every day of the week.
Oh, there's no doubt. The full-time footballer, because he's trained every week. He's practicing his craft every day.
Exactly what I'm going into with these referees, what I think needs to be done. A prime example, and the FA even prove it, Dave. If there isn't, say, a Premier League game on a Friday night and Leeds are playing Sheffield United, who gets the game in the middle normally? One of the Premier League referees. He's full-time because they know it's that. So this is what I'm trying to say. Just My opinion is, and I've said to you, get these referees in each county, 20 odd of them, 25, you get 300 or 400 full time. Let the FA pay them, give them away, 20 grand a year each. It's only going to cost $500,000. Get coaches, give them 30 grand a year each. Like Kent have got a great base, 3G pitch that the KCFA have got. Fair play to them, spent a lot of money, K Sports play there, okay, in the league below us. They got £1 million and they went to the KCFA, because I can't talk about Kent, you can talk about Essex or whatever. There's £1 million, we're going to give it every year. You've got 21 referees, that age, we're going to pay them 20 grand. They're going to get their badges for games as well. They're going to be taught the same, so they do their, I don't know, level 4, 5, 6, 7. When they finished, they're easily, they can even, they're still ref games at our level and above, but they're done. They're getting coaches, either a football coach, a referee's coach, 20, 30 grand. They're investing, they're giving these, you've got 200 to 400 referees in 2 years. And then the experience they've gained by being full-time over that period, you won't mind a young kid refereeing you. As you said, he can keep up with play, but he's got the experience because he's been doing it full-time for 2 years.
I think the problem that you've got is that the FA know the pool of referees they need. They've got a whole country to pick from, and they try and identify a certain number, and they invest their resources in that. And what they're overlooking is the fact that if you had, as you just said, 20 or 40 of them, you may get 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 great referees developed out of that. It doesn't mean because they're coached by the Kent FA that they're not going to end up, in the north of England refereeing games. It's just, as you say, it's the same in all walks of life. If you have a wider pool to choose from, you'll get a better number qualified.
But what I'm saying is at the moment is that what is there? What incentive is there for a referee to ref? This is what I'm just trying to say at the moment. Really, there isn't. I know a young kid. He does a couple of my kids' games, and he does a lot of Phoenix. They try and get them in and help him. But I'm sitting there watching him, and I try to talk to him a bit. I'm like, poor kid, you're on your own. You're 16 years old, not being able. You want to express what incentive is there. Most of them don't know what they can achieve. You've got more chance of being a full-time referee than you have a full-time player, right? If you look at the pool of players. But if you actually got a chance, you could sit there and go, listen, we're going to, there's a career here for you. We're going to actually do this. The KCFA are going to do it. The Essex FA are going to do it. The Surrey FA are going to do it. All these FAs, with the amount of money in football and the amount of money that the actual FA coin in, I want to start seeing it giving back to the people that everyone keeps saying we're moaning about, and all these ones keep getting abused. Help them. That is the only way they're ever going to get helped. Telling Aki to shut up and stop moaning, and we're going to fine him 50 quid for kicking a ball away 3 times,
more likely,
isn't going to work.
Can I interrupt you there, Keith? More likely telling Tom, but carry on.
Mate, it's not going to work because they're not getting. It's a bit like you pay someone, you pay a bricklayer to come and build you an extension for you, and he sends the labour around. You're going to go, well, sorry mate, but you ain't done a particularly good job there, have you? And he's been left. And
I think referee's been always been poor for me since I've been playing football since the age of God knows. I played in Turkish league, Greek league, semi-professionally. They've always been poor. Always they make mistakes. Even professional referees.
Of course they make mistakes. Of course they do.
But our level, like you said, they should be training more. I saw a referee a few weeks ago. He must have been 65 linesman. He couldn't even keep up with because the game is so fast. He couldn't even keep up. I'm sure he was about over 60 anyway. What are you doing 60 years of refereeing somebody this type of lineup? I don't know.
I don't know. You've got youth sides, Aki, haven't you?
Well, we've got under 18s and the youth development squad down to 23s.
You've got youth sides. I think AD have. We have. It's so hard to get a referee at young level now because there's none around. Because, like you said, there's no incentive for parents. Don't want their kids to do it because they don't want the dad on the line calling him all the names under the sun. I get all that, and that is why something's got to change. Because if it doesn't change, what's going to happen?
I used to be the referee secretary in the youth league in Harlow, and you'd get people like you'd phone up and say, can you do this game? Oh, I can't bother to get out of bed for 15 quid. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, okay, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? But you couldn't raise the money. You didn't get any financial help from the FAs because you couldn't hire the money because then that put pressure on the teams, the youth teams that were playing. That's more money they've got to try and get off their kids to put into it. So, and as you say, the abuse that they get is just appalling. One of the things I did see that someone put in there as well was that some of the players in the Isthmian League should be made to do a referee's course. And when you think about that, I've sat in matches, and I must admit I've sat in matches where I've sat next to people at Harlow, shall we say, on the board at Harlow. I've sat in here with people from the board at Averley and other matches when me and you have been together before now, and I've heard people shout. And you think to yourself, some of the things that they're actually shouting here and they're having a go at them for, you're thinking, do you actually know the rules yourself? You know, it's just like
you're going to get that, and you know that's because you're a supporter. You're going to get it. It's you want that part of sport, but this isn't the point. This is what I keep saying that I'm getting. I'm not slagging any referees off. You meet most referees. Listen, there are like managers and players, some right arseholes, right? That you can talk, that won't talk to you, and that is just walk of life, right? I know some absolute same players that I can't stand, and some managers the same. They're not being tired. I just, like I said, something's got to give, and I just think that football. They keep saying it's all money on table, money on table. There's a lot of money being generated, and the ones that are getting left behind are the ones in the middle at our level. Yeah. And I don't care about Premiership. And like I said, I want our league to back it. I want every league to back it. They won't, right? But when we all start moaning about referees, and they go, well, don't moan at me. Well, who should we moan at then? Because it's your league. And I want, like I said, I'm not going to, I've got a bit of a voice here. I'm a manager. It might not even come to nowhere. And like I said, I've put a petition online that hopefully people will sign if they agree. And all it is just, even if the FA, hear me out, that the FA spend some money on them. They've got enough money, stop spending it on lavish, whatever, here or there.
Well, we've got two before we move on to because we'll definitely come back to this subject maybe next week after as well. But we need to move on to Harlow and of course on to Haringey as well. But just a couple of bits. This there. Tom, of course, Haringey says allow referees to explain their performance in front of a camera straight after a game. And Jason Collins said if people listen to Keith, he's not slagging off officials. He's actually on their side, and he's trying to get the FA to open their eyes and ears in helping out grassroots officials more. I'm turning into a VCD supporter very, very quickly.
Oh, you won't do if you see us play, mate. Go on, move on, Dave.
There we go. So, Aki, if we go with Harlow first, if that's
all
right with you. So, I mean, Hussein, it's been look, we've been seeing the results. We've been speaking quite a lot to Jake as well. He's doing a fantastic job with Harlow Fans TV and his podcast, etc., etc. So we've had some sort of feedback from them, and I get feedback, of course, from Donna and others there. But I mean, the season started off very disappointingly for Harlow fans. But are they starting to turn a corner now? Did you feel that the corner's been turned and we're on an upward run? And I use the word "we" there. Did you see that? But you said.
Each season, you bring players in, you try players, different players. Does it work? Does it not work? Till you find the right balance. And I think Mr. Chapman, that's what he done with Spencer. They work constantly. They're working day and night to bring players in. And you get players, they don't even want to play for a team. Some players, they come in, I don't know everything about, we take the money and go. You need players there. They're going to give 100%, like coaches, like Mr. Chapman, Spencer, me, Mark. We give 100%, like even days that work, we're trying to, always thinking about the team. I'm not saying we turned the corner, but I think we got better team than what we had before. We got a different atmosphere in the changing room, the players are happier, we haven't got division in the team, we are all together, we lose together, we win together. But results have been good for us lately, and hopefully it carries on.
When you were going from a sticky patch, to be honest, it's not like that, you're still in a sticky patch in a way, but was you surprised, and I was always on the Harlow case with this, I've been like it all year, how the fans turned? because the negativity we were getting, and I was shouting, I was like, I know, Dan, listen, instead of get behind them, you could really help them out.
But do you think that was with the Harlow, sort of like what's happening on that side of it? Do you think that was because of the lack of communication from the club to the fans, in the fact that, and what I'm trying to say by that is, when you're losing players, the likes of Jason Reid left, Alex Reid left, etc., etc., etc. Jared Small left at the beginning of the season, but there's no sort of. It almost felt as as a fan, you're sitting there watching it. You've got great. We've just brought Taylor Hastings in or whoever was coming in, but then the next day, one of the other star players is going the other way.
No, I get what you're saying. Obviously, but at the beginning, they lost a few results, and you see David was on there. And, every club, especially every year, has a transition period sometimes, and you've got to let them bed in. And it just seemed that all the gates dropped massively. We said that, and they were on here and calling for his head basically every week.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Harlow to move forward. For me, it's Mr. Chapman is the Mr. Harlow. For me, I have to be honest. It's like us Pep Guardiola to change his tactics, or us and Wenger change his tactics. And I think Mr. Chapman, the way he started 23 years, the way he stuck with his policies and his principles, I think he would always succeed. I'm sure that he gets offers from another clubs and everything, but I think he will succeed for me. He will.
But it must have been hard for Danny. I mean, listening to, seeing, reading. I don't know how much Danny, read sort of anything social media wise or whatever else. But you must have been, as a manager as well. You must be looking at thinking to yourself, I feel like he's under pressure and do I change my tactics or not? It must be very strong will to keep the tactics that he felt was right for the club.
I'm only saying that, and Accurate and yourself will sort of know. The Harlow fans have always been passionate and loud. When you used to go to Harlow, the siren would come out.
Well, yeah.
All the fans are behind you on the dugout as well. They're right on the case. And when obviously the good times, which is not long ago, they're right behind the team. And that's what I'm saying. When they're that close to you, did you sense the negativity with them when at the beginning?
Definitely. But as I said, you look at some clubs' budgets, and we have to look at our budget.
Yeah, of course.
To bring a top striker to this level, they need 500, 400, 600. Can you afford that? But as I said, one stage we had 8 points, and if I thought, we're going to go down, then I would have walked away. But I knew I had the confidence in my manager that he's going to turn it around, and he hasn't. But we have. But I think the way we're playing at the moment, we're sticking together. You walk into the changing rooms, it's different atmosphere from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think you could see that in Danny's interview at the weekend. I mean, I'm always watching Danny's interviews and always reading stuff that's Harlow stuff himself, and it's like you could almost see a different Danny. It looked like a different interview to interviews previously that I'd seen. So when you'd see
light at the end of the tunnel.
He just looked like he had the weight off his shoulders. When he was actually going through and doing the interview on Saturday. I'm assuming it was with Ian still, and Ian was asking the questions. You could see that he looked a little bit more. The pressure had been released a little bit from him. He didn't look like he was under pressure, if you know what I mean, from that.
It's for every manager. Same is for every manager. When you're not getting the results, you're trying to find a solution. You're trying to find new players, new ideas, and you can see last few games or 5, 6, 7 games. I mean, against Bishop Stockholm, we was very unlucky. We should have won the game. Against the other teams, we should have won games. But as I said, as long as you don't have a division in the team, there's a lot of people who have a division. They slag each other off. We don't have it in Harlow. Harlow time we're all together. We win together. We lose together. It's like me. I'm a goalkeeping coach. I can go to Mr. Spencer or Mr. Chapman and say, "I got this player. I want to bring in." And they can joke and say, "What do you know about playing side of the football?" But they always not listen, but they take ideas. It's not like they are really, really good with the staff and everything. So really respect
So
that.
what do you think was the turning point? And as you're saying there, you feel you've sort of turned the corner. What do you think made that happen?
I think what was the turning point for me is the players that wanted to come and play for us, and the players we had. I don't think that's my idea. They didn't want to play for Harlow Town, but the players that we got now, They give everything. They want to. It's like when we go on the pitch, they're in war. They want to fight for 3 points. They want to. Everybody's in the club now.
All in the same direction.
Same direction. There's no one player can go outside the room and say he's bad. There's nothing. There's no division. Absolutely togetherness there, which is really good. It's really, really good for me.
So sort of, looking at league table, we are now, 17 games, 19 games, is it? What's it, 14? No,
15.
15 games left.
15 exactly.
15 exactly, yeah.
Not that I look at the fixtures every single day for every single team.
So I keep thinking there's 24. What sort of point tally do you think you need to stay at?
Of course, we don't get carried away, but I said last week it's 8 must wins. But that's my prediction, because this year 40 points should keep you up, but bottom teams are keep winning and winning and winning. I said 8 wins last week, but that is my prediction.
What was it normally? It was normally about 52 to 56 that stayed up. I know that there's less teams now, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's around about that mark, isn't it? I think this year, as Hussein says, there's so many teams down the bottom there who have improved over the last 2 or 3 weeks that it may drag a couple of the others into it.
Every year it always does. Yeah. We say in the last 12 games, someone around the 12th, 13th, 14th sinks like a ship.
I'll just look at the fixtures. Of course, no game this weekend because of Carshalton in the trophy. So you've got Burgess Hill away on the 5th, then Folkestone and Victor, which will be a tough old game at home on 9th, then Carshalton away on the 11th, Worthing away on the 16th, Whitehawk at home on the 23rd, Brighton Ince away on the 2nd, then go Kingstonian and Wingate at home, Mersham and Tonbridge Angels away, Potters Bar Town at home, Bognor Regis Town away.
The last 2 games.
Yeah, I have to say that, yeah. Enfield Town at home, and then you finish off with away to AFC Hornchurch and home to Margate. Last game of the season.
Wow. Oh, it's in your own hands, like everything's still in it.
Everything is in our own hands, like you've said. I never go to the games that we're going to lose the game. I'm always thinking 3 points. Even when I was playing, we played top sides. I never think that we're going to lose. But as I said, I'm confident. My manager will do the job. My managers will do the job.
We have got to say, I just said, but good luck to Carshalton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Against Barnet, isn't it?
So I'll say one more thing. The true supporters, doesn't matter who the manager is, you have to stick by your club. For example, Haringey Borough. I want Haringey Borough to go up because I'm from that side of the London. Also, they are from my country. We are all from Cyprus. And I always said to all my friends, I want Haringey Borough to go up. And I still want Haringey Borough. And my prediction from the beginning of Haringey Borough will go up.
Well, you must want VCD too as well then, because you said you live in Bexley. Cyprus.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Perfect. So you want Haringey to win the league as well. It's fantastic.
Now I know that. That's great. No, listen, we've said before, I know Danny and Spencer really well. Yeah. I wish my goalkeeper coach would be as respectful to me as a manager as you are to him, to Mr. Chapman, and that is brilliant.
It's like I work with Craig Edwards.
Yeah.
There's no one bad word when I was in Billericay together. There's no one bad word I can say about Craig Edwards. If there is something for me to say, I will say it. I will say it.
No, it's great.
You can come and fight with me, Craig Edwards. He likes that as well.
That's
I like it as well. So.
No, listen, it's great, and like I said, we know Danny, and
I respect them.
We want Harlow to do well, and I am glad that and what you've just been saying, it's exactly right. You can see in the results. We've said a few months ago we thought they were dead and buried because they seem to have no fight, and when you're down there, the team with fight will get you up, will keep you up. Sorry, but you've got to do it every week. You've definitely got a few big fighting matches there to slog out over the course of the last 12, so we wish you well with it.
Absolutely. Definitely do. I mean, and it's one of those things, it's always the first one I look at, and as we said, massive congratulations to Tim, and of course as well Tom moving to chairman as well. I mean, how'd you get on with Tom?
Perfect gentleman, and with Tim we work together day in, day out. Yes, there's nothing nothing bad to say about that. Nothing bad to say about it. They take care of everyone. They look after their club. I can give you a really small example. As I was in Billericay a few years ago. Look at the Billericay now. Look at the money they're pumping in and everything. If you think it doesn't work that way, you have to be very careful with your budget, what you do at your club. It's not like Mr. Chapman, bring this player in, pay £1,000, go up next level. It doesn't work that. I used to play at HARINGEY about 35 years. I know how the pitch was. HARINGEY pitch, going early 80s. Look at the work they've done. Congratulations to them.
Unbelievable. Well, just going over what you've said, obviously Jake's just come in and gone. Personally, as a supporter, I sing all that I can. The difference is now we have players who are playing for the shirt, and the fans have recognised this. So that's what you want as a manager and a coach and as a supporter.
You've got a passion. I mean, I'm a passionate person. When we score, I can't control myself. I used to be very
running up and down the touchline doing your dance.
I do.
Yeah, I do. I do the dance in changing room. It's after that is a new thing now. Actually, that's how we started it. Mr. Chapman was sitting in the office, and I said, "If we get 3 points today, I'm going to do a special dance for the boys." And we started from there. We carried on. We're struggling sometimes for doing the splits. That's okay. I started for a week. That's okay. As long as we get 3 points, I will do dance all the time.
If you're watching at home, we are now Strictly Come Dance. No, we're not. Yeah. But I mean, just away from non-league football, just a minute, the FA Cup draw has been done tonight. It's Bristol City against Shrewsbury or Wolves, AFC Wimbledon versus Millwall, Doncaster Rovers versus Crystal Palace, Middlesbrough or Newport County versus Manchester City, Chelsea versus Manchester United, Swansea City versus Barnet or Brentford, Portsmouth or Queen's Park Rangers versus Watford, and Brighton or West Brom versus Derby County. Doncaster Rovers.
A couple of messages, Dave, as well. Liam Curry's just gone. Given the discussion, thank God Tom isn't on there. He said Aki would be writing out a few cheques to the FA. Rob O'Connor's put, there are no money in grassroots football for non-league. To the youngsters, no incentives for either players or officials. The referees are not consistent at all and have to explain why they are making such bad decisions which spoil a great game. We said about Joe, and then Lee Connors has come back. Look at the transition at Basildon United, and our fans have stuck by me and the team. True supporters will stick by their club through thick and thin.
Absolutely.
Shall we move across to
the... So I suppose my first question to you is, I was sitting down watching that game on TV, the famous game on TV.
I was standing in the rain.
I don't think I've ever been as gutted watching a TV game, knowing the team that was playing in front of me, as I was when Wimbledon scored that late goal. I must
made it worse. My mate was Pinnock's manager at work last year. He comes from Kent.
He was at Dover, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was at Dover.
It was one of those. I don't know if Hussein saw the game himself, but it was like, oh my God! You sat there and thought you outplayed them from start to finish, in my opinion. And then to see that happen to you at the end, it was like, it was almost as if it was the team that you'd supported all your life, and you just felt absolutely gutted. And then to get from that, everybody then, anybody in football will look at it and go, geez, how are you going to pick your heads up for a game in the Boston Prem next week? Do you know what I mean? Or the week after?
2 days later.
Or
3 days later.
All of a sudden, you just went, woof, took off.
Well, I honestly cannot explain that. From my personal position, I didn't watch the game on the telly for a week afterwards because I couldn't get over. I couldn't get over that ending because I stood in the rain for 90 minutes, having sorted out floodlights for the away 700 Wimbledon fans. Their toilets went on, the electricity went right on kick-off. So we missed 15 minutes running across the road to Selco to get some extension leads to put some floodlights in their toilet. Then watching the game, and I don't agree that for the first 10, 15 minutes that I saw, they had a lot of ball. We didn't. I'm disappointed. I've got to be honest with you. I'm disappointed that we didn't create enough. We scored a goal in the second half that was clearly offside. But aside from that, we didn't really show our attacking potential, to be honest with you. Obviously, we played against a league side, and perhaps we weren't expected to get anywhere near their goal. But I thought we had more about us in terms of the possibility of scoring a goal. So it's difficult.
Did you think we mentioned this before? We mentioned it on the show before, the week before, and you've said it again tonight. Was you surprised that we thought your pace would have shocked them?
Well,
and hurt them a little bit, didn't because the win,
yeah.
I know you changed the side.
Well, that was the problem. The problem was, unfortunately, our centre forward got a red card the week before against Cheshire in the trophy, and it was a ridiculous decision. But leave that aside. Going back to officials. So we had no centre forward, or we had centre forwards. The manager ultimately picks the team, and he made the decision to play little Michael in the middle, which did take away the threat of his pace down the right wing, and I think that perhaps may have given us more opportunity to attack. By the same token, I think Charlie Barker was flattened in the penalty area early on. The defender definitely tackled him from the wrong side and took him out. The referee's comment was he fell down too easily. Well, I'm sorry, if a fullback's making challenges like that, he should have got what he deserved, and that was a penalty to us. Valerie played out of his skin. He did pull off 3 or 4 tremendous saves. And he looked very comfortable with crosses, as he always does, because that's what Valerie does. He catches everything. So anybody, everyone knows in the league now, you don't put corners into the 6-yard box because Val catches them. And, you know, we held them. It didn't occur to me with 10 minutes to go. In fact, with 7 minutes to go, a friend of mine said 83. The only thing I had in mind was we're getting stronger. And there's a chance we could nick this. It didn't occur to me that they could score. And when I see the replay, which I have now watched, and I've told the fans, the players, sorry, you know, there was a catalogue of errors. We had the ball at a throw-in on the right wing on 89-10. And by 89-41, they'd scored. And it was just a catalogue of errors on our part. But I'm not knocking our players, obviously. It was a Herculean effort, really, under the circumstances, to compete with a team like that. But the saddest thing for me was that I didn't get the chance to enjoy them putting on a game for us in a replay. Because to put that game on, people don't realise, we've never had crowds of more than 150, 200, apart from the occasional game like the Orient game and the playoff final. We had to cater for 2,700 people, and we were effectively, and my only criticism is, and please don't take this the wrong way, every team dreams of getting a live TV game. We didn't expect for 1 second that we would ever feature on BBC. So it's the best thing that ever happened to us. But the problem is when they tell you on the Thursday, 3 days after the draw, you're live on the BBC, we didn't know what to do. We had no idea how to put on a game to cater for nearly 3,000 people. Orient helped us. We rang the staff at Orient because they were so good the previous season with the FA Trophy. Wimbledon helped us. Basically, it was the two clubs got together, helped us. But what almost hindered us was the Safety Advisory Council turned up 4 days before kick-off. 4 days before kick-off on the Monday, to give me a list of things we had to do, plus building regulation turned up from Haringey Council on the Monday. And they walked around the ground and they said, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. It was a million things we had to do, or the game was going to be called off. And then they turned around and said, we're coming back on Thursday, 12 o'clock, which ultimately became Friday, 12 o'clock. So they turned up Friday, 12 o'clock, and I've got a 7:45 kick-off. We've sold nearly 3,000 tickets, and there was a chance that game was not going to go ahead. Because, to be honest with you, we didn't do everything we were told to do. We did as much as we could. And 1 or 2 things were overlooked. And that's where I've got a little gripe, and it's that we had no help. The FA must have someone to turn up at clubs like ours and say, listen, if you're going to host a game with 3,000 people or 2,500 people, let me give you a template. These are the things you have to address. We knew 4 days beforehand, and it killed us. We all argued in the club. We were all there until midnight every night. On the Friday, I argued with Tom. He's probably listening to this. I've never had such a bust up with Tom. I had a bust up with anybody and everybody who walked into that ground, because we were all on tenterhooks that this game could be called off. So then I stood for 90 minutes in the rain and saw them score with 20 seconds to go, when all I wanted to do was get in a coach the following week, go to Wimbledon and say, there, boys, you entertain me now, I've done my bit. Even if we lost 10-0, I didn't care. But to have that opportunity taken away from us, But the whole experience, to be perfectly honest with you, was the best thing ever. We sold 2,000 tickets to local Haringey people. I went to Selhurst Park the following week. Spurs were playing in the league, and I had my Haringey scarf on. I got on a bus to get to the ground, and there's a bloke there with a Haringey scarf on. I said, "How'd you get that, mate?" He said, "I went to the game last week." I said, "Where do you live?" He went, "Brighton." I said, "You went from Brighton to Haringey to support us. Why?" Because I was brought up in Tottenham. The best thing that's ever happened to Tottenham. And that is just unbelievable that it's gone so far and wide. And off the back of that, we've created an unbelievable fan base. It's been incredible. Last week's attendance was 456 for a league game, which is astonishing. And hopefully, again, that will carry on from now to the end of the season.
You know, we asked you, when I asked you a question a little while ago, when we was talking about the officials, about how long you've been there and what you've done in that short space, well, not short space, sorry, in the last 3 or 4 years with the thing. Obviously, no one, not even you, could have imagined what's happened to you in the last year.
No.
Even with Leighton Orient, last year's
I know.
And now this.
And promotion in between.
And a big surprise, I don't know, this could be the right word, surprise, how many people have taken to you.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Our fans are unbelievable, and what pleases me, they control themselves, they police themselves. I have never said to them anything about the sort of songs they sing. We have Matt the drummer comes along every week. They themselves decided they were never going to sing an abusive song, so they don't. They sing nothing detrimental to the opposition, and they sing no abusive songs, which is fantastic. And we've had a lot of plaudits from a lot of clubs that we've been to. And I'm hoping that people believe that we have been a breath of fresh air this year, because we've taken 100 fans to Lewes, Worthing, Wingate, we took over 100. Harlow, we outnumbered you that day. It was unbelievable. On Saturday, against Tunbridge. It's an incredible following. Kingstonian. Wherever we've been, we've taken so many fans. They've sung for 90 minutes. They've all paid their £10, £12 to get in. They've all drunk in the bar, and they've put a lot of money into the coffers of all the clubs they've gone to. Perversely, they've given away clubs more money than they give us because we've got the free season tickets that don't pay come in. But that isn't the point. The point is creating a fan base from nothing. And it was funny when I was driving down here earlier. The last year of our grass pitch, we couldn't play at home because the league banned us from playing at home because the pitch wasn't good enough. And we went to, Danny was brilliant at Tilbury, gave us their pitch. We had 5 home games there. And we played Averley and we took £11 at the game. That was it. £11 when we had to pay for the pitch, obviously. They yeah. But I'm just thinking back, that was 4 years ago. We had a home game where our crowd, the takings were 1 adult and 2 concessions. And look at it now. It's absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And on top of that, when you look at what Tom and the rest of the coaching staff, Tucker, Cumbers, Johnny Fitz and Vicky the physio, what they've done with this team is just unbelievable. No one in their wildest dream thought that we might be near the top. It was quite funny because when we played Wimbledon, we were 18th. And I kept looking at 5th. Folkestone and Victor were 5th, and we were 11 points behind them. And I was thinking, we've got a couple of games in hand. Yeah. And I kept looking at 5th. And my brother said to me, "You're deluding yourself. You're in a relegation battle." And I went, "Talking about?" He goes, "You're 18th. And in fact, by the time we played Tunbridge on the Monday, we were 19th. But what happened after that, as you say, Dave, I do not understand how the boys reacted the way. I didn't expect us to win another game for a month after that last minute defeat. To go and beat Tunbridge, who were top then, 4-0, and then win 10 in a row after that is just unreal. The fans have helped enormously with their support, but ultimately the credit goes to the players because they're the ones who've done it. They're the ones who pulled themselves together. They would have seen the game on the telly. They could not have been... Well, they could be so upset by what happened, And you know the what if? Looking at West Ham now, who did they get today? That could have been. We could have had Millwall at home. That would have been delightful.
I mean, the funny thing about it is, if someone's just put on here that West Ham could have had Millwall, I bet the police are happy that.
Yeah, but it's been an incredible run since then. We sit where we are in the league now, where obviously we have aspirations of doing something this season. But as I said earlier, any team can beat anyone in this division. So nothing can be taken for granted. You can't even, looking at that, take for granted that we'll finish in a playoff position.
So how disappointed do you think Tom and the boys will be, and yourself, of course, as well, now, where maybe, as you said earlier on, you know, your brother was saying that you were in a relegation scrap, you know, when it came to that Wimbledon game. Now you're in that sort of top five. Would it be disappointing now if you didn't finish in that top five or first?
I don't think that's going to happen, Dave. I don't even think.
I think
not even the top two or nearly top three or some. Top two are cemented for me. They're cemented already, 1 or 2. I think it's now who's going to win it.
I'd be lying if I said we wouldn't be upset if we didn't make a playoff. I would be, because from where we are now, we would have to lose, as Keith just pointed out, quite a significant portion of those last 15 games not to finish in the top 5. Only time's going to tell where we're going to go. All I can say is I'm going to reiterate what Hussein just said about Harlow, in that we've got a fantastic spirit within this club. The boys are together like I've never seen, and they're all pulling in the right direction. Me, the manager, the coaching staff, and the players and the supporters, they have been an unbelievable help. And what is the most pleasing thing for me, if you see the number of kids that come to our games now, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, all with Haringey scarves, and all the players come to them at the end of the game. It's just beautiful to see. Beautiful to see.
Well, looking at your fixtures coming up, you've got Burgess Town this weekend, and then you've got Brighton Region at home, Carshalton away, Leatherhead at home, Bognor away. Oh, what a trip that is. I hope I don't get called off for the snow. Cruikshank Casuals at home, Mersham away, Bishop Stortford away. As it decides to cut a cut, after 2 seconds. 2 seconds, we'll go back into that.
March and April is a really tough run for us. Even at home games at Lewis and Kingstonian, we've got away games with Folkestone. We've got Dorking last game, obviously. We have Bishop Stortford away on the 16th, then home to Enfield, home to Lewis, away to Hornchurch, home to Kingstonian, away to Folkestone, home to Wingate and Finchley, and if it stays as it is at the minute, what a game on the 27th of April, because you're away to Dorking.
Ain't that the second time that Dorking, on the last game of the season, have been in whoever could win?
Yeah, they played 2 teams last time. Yeah. And then they got beat, or they didn't go up by a goal or goal difference or something, and then they won the playoff. Yeah. So, yeah.
But, you know, you look at that and you can go, just maybe see the question after you spoke about the FA Cup and what you had to do there, but is the club in a position to go up? I don't mean ground-wise, obviously, because you know when you go into the National League, travelling becomes a lot different. I know there are different things, but you know, are you starting to look to what you need to do?
We haven't got to do a lot. I think the biggest problem is going to be what the players might expect in terms of money, to be perfectly honest with you. Hussein, you killed me earlier. Don't talk about strikers on £400 and £500 a week. I'm going to have a mutiny in my hands by the time I get out of here. So, no, I mean, I think in terms of travel, funnily enough, I have cast my eye over the teams in Conference South, and I don't think there's too many horrid. Oh, Chura away, it's not going to be clever. But you know, if we're fortunate enough to be in that position, certainly we are going to be in a financial position to deal with it. We are taking more money at our home games than ever before. You know, the most important thing for me, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but you have to make non-league football affordable. We've done it with a free season ticket. Not every club can do it with a free season ticket. I'm not advocating that is the way forward. But each club, in my opinion, has to look at how they can encourage people to come in through the gate. And I'm not going to just pick on Harlow as an example, but seeing as you're here, Hussein, one of the things that you have to look at is you used to get crowds of 300, 350. You charge £12 to get in. Now, I think that's too much. You're not the only club that charged £12. Our fans, over 100 of them, paid £12 to come in. They couldn't believe what hit them in the eyes when they got to the gate. Look at Dorking. Different class in my eyes. What did they put up last week? 10-match season ticket, 60 quid. That is brilliant. The concessions, 10 matches, 40 quid. They're charging their fans, get a season ticket now for 6 quid. You can come and watch a team that's top of Ryman Premier. For concessions, 40 quid, £4 a game. That's the way to get people in. It's not rocket science. I'm not saying every club can have a free season ticket, but think about your pricing structure if you want to encourage fans. Think about your pricing structure.
Dorking says you have to pay £6 to get into the car park. Even the players and management has to pay £6.
Well, I don't know about car park entries.
You're at the end of the season.
It goes to the clubs.
Yeah, but not all of those who are paying £60 for 10 matches are going to come by car. No. Or one person's driving with 4 people in the car. You know, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is it was an initiative by Dorking, who already get good crowds. That game they played the other week with Worthing was a crowd of 1,500 or something ridiculous. They already get good crowds and they're already thinking about attracting more people. And I think a lot of the clubs at all levels, not just level 3, level 4, level 5, you have to get people through the gate. We created a facility and we had no supporters. Yeah. So I came up with the idea of a free season ticket and people thought I was mental. Well, now I've got 450 fans and I've already said it on the BBC and I'll say it again tonight. It's a free season ticket next season. We can be Conference South, it'll be a free season ticket. If we're Ryman Premier, it's a free season ticket. Because I can't say it'll go on forever. That would be ridiculous for me to say that because there may come a time where I can't do it. But I want to encourage as many people as possible. When they come in, they eat, they drink, they buy things. We've got merchandise now. We've never had that before. So we're getting money through a different route.
So how much is to get in? How much is to get in?
Zero.
Well, you can't just come at the gate.
No, you have to apply. You have to apply for your season ticket, obviously.
A lot of the clubs, I think under 18s, they pay to get in as well. In our HARLOW, they don't pay to get in.
No one pays anything. Under 18s, under 23s, women.
We're a bit unique here, obviously we haven't done anything like that, but you can pay £8 to get in a VCD and you can get the whole side of the ground to yourself. It's brilliant. So.
Yeah, that's unique.
What he's not telling you is the burgers are 15 quid each.
Well, Cup of tea's 4 quid, a pint of lager's 10, but yeah, you can come in for nothing.
Nah, listen, that's unbelievable, and like I said, you've got the fan base there.
You have to look at the area. We are in an impoverished area. Yeah. There are 270 odd nationalities in Haringey. They can't afford to come in. Just to watch those little kids. The funniest thing is there's a couple of women who come with a pram and they walk around pushing the pram and drinking a pint of lager. It's just fantastic. I'm just saying they are the sort of people who would never in their wildest dreams have walked in and paid £10 to come in. So no, we 2 boxes, and then we've got the likes of Liam Curry who just drink us out of everything.
Do you think as well? Again, it has to have made a minimal slight difference, but obviously with Tottenham not being at Tottenham as a stadium, has some fans sort of come and watched you instead of dragging themselves up to Wembley?
Potentially, I don't know is the answer. Potentially, we get. It's quite funny. We've got Arsenal season ticket holders, Spurs season ticket holders, West Ham season ticket holders, Fulham season ticket holders, who come and watch our games when it doesn't clash. And it's even getting to the stage where some of them are not going to watch their game when it does clash, which is unbelievable. I mean, I do it all the time with Spurs. I mean, I never go and see Spurs when Haringey are playing. The only time when I've told everyone I'm going to do this is the first game in the new stadium. I don't care where Haringey are playing that day. So yeah, well, that won't happen for another 4 or 5 years. So so that's the only Haringey game I plan to miss. Yeah, maybe. But that's the only Haringey game I plan to miss because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing to see the first league game at a new stadium.
You are the only team in White Hart Lane now.
We are the only team in White Hart Lane. And as Tom said on the telly, the only operational team anywhere near White Hart Lane, yeah.
I'm a Spurs fan, but I'm just saying, it is great what you've done, and it's a great success story, like I said, going back 2 or 3, 4 years ago, where you are, what you've achieved.
I mean, you're talking about first game in that stadium. I know they've got to have what they they call them
taster days, tester days. I think.
Have you sort of tried to speak to anybody at Spurs to try and get a game with the Haringey up there as one of those games, or is it something that they wouldn't entertain, shall we say?
No comment. No, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't think they'd entertain anything like that. I've got my little gripe over the seats at the moment, so I'm not discussing too much about that.
Jason Collins said some only advertise games in the local barbers, hence why we don't have any ball people watch us. Liam Coates, if you were a Fulham supporter, you'd give the season a miss.
So that's why he comes to Haringey.
Yeah. I do my fans TV to try and promote the club, says Jake. Doesn't seem to be working attendances wise.
Yes, listen, not every club, it works for. Obviously, there's two ways. I don't come back to what I said. Dorking have done well, but obviously where they are as well, they're not inundated with football clubs all round them. In the middle of London, we are. But I'm saying this, our club is, I would say, the world's worst at trying to get people through the gate. Okay, it's something I do with social media and that. We try and do some Twitter, but that is it. They don't go and leave there, they don't do much. Obviously, having Phoenix to opposite with we're all competing, but what their club has done is it can show a lot of people, a different way forward. I was thinking it ain't going to suit everyone, but what he's just said there, they must, if any chairman are listening, they must sit there and go, well, and mine would be the same. Mine would let everyone in for nothing. He knew he was going to get 200 people in the bar. Now, we don't get a penny from the bar, the football club, but my chairman owns the whole sports club. So, just getting people in and just going over one thing that, as they say, there's a lot of supporters that are season ticket holders of professional clubs that once they watch a non-league team and they get that bug and they feel part of it, then give up and will come to
No, my brother was the same. My brother, I've been telling him for years, come and watch Haringey. We're not a bad side. The level of football's decent level. And he used to keep saying to me, we ain't got Defoe up front, have you? You ain't got Keane up front. I said, no, we haven't got them, or Berbatov. I said, but come and you'll be impressed by what you see. Well, he ain't missed a game for 3 seasons now. He loves it.
The Tottenham centre forward, he played Haringey back.
There you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've just looked at the time. The time's absolutely flown by, and the discussion tonight's been superb. It's fantastic hearing about Harlow Town, and of course also Haringey Borough, and of course the chat around the referees. We'll definitely keep coming back to that in the future and see how it goes during the next week, and see if there's any response at all from the Bostik League, or if there's any response from the FA as well, to see if they can come back and say.
Again, it's a punt. If you go on either the show's Facebook page or mine, or my Twitter page, or you think. If you do agree with anything we've said and you want to put your name down on the petition, which hopefully it's not going to be a cut shut thing, but we've got to try and make a difference, and that's what we're trying to do. It'd be good just to go on it and just give it a little click.
And if anybody's got an opinion on it as well, and they want to come on the show next week to have a chat about it, then by all means just contact me or Keith and for all the different social media pages that we've got, and we're more than happy to have you on with us. And Keith's trying to help everybody. Trying to help all the clubs in our level of football. Trying to help the referees, which is the most important thing. He's not trying to have a go at them, as we said before. He's trying to help them. And hopefully you'll get on board with Keith and support his campaign as well. But a massive thank you to Hussein. Massive thank you to Aki, and of course to Keith as well. Don't forget to let everybody know that this show's here every single week, and of course you can join me, Paul Wickington, and Dean Barker on Friday evening. For the Reposs Isthmian review show, and we'll be on about 7 o'clock on Friday night, and hopefully we'll have the Mick O'Shea, the Herne Bay supporter, will come on as well and show himself at the weekend as well. But me and Keith will definitely be back this time next week. But until then, thank you for watching tonight, and good night.